Hey there, friend. You are listening to Flip the Switch podcast, where we talk about the things you can't find on YouTube, search up on Google, or even ask Siri. I'm Leah Marie, your host. If you have ever wondered how to get that 6, 7, and even 8-figure mindset, then you're in the right place. We all know that anything and everything we have ever done has been done mentally before it was ever done physically, even if it was on a subconscious level. The body must follow the mind. So I say, let's apply this universal law to business and be successful mentally, then allow the strategies we have to take us there physically. I am a brain hacking transformation specialist. I've worked with award-winning CEOs, Olympic-level athletes, accredited investors, a rocket scientist, and more, teaching them to rewire their thinking so their vision's impact is unstoppable, influencing generations. I don't tell you this to impress you, but impress upon you the power each of you already has access to, and it's right between your ears. I've been working with entrepreneurs for over 2 decades, and there is an indisputable trend that can be found. Allow me to let you in on the secret. It's mindset. Mindset is the deciding factor, not resources, influence, time, money, or even your talents or skill set. So in this podcast, you're going to meet incredible people, individuals who are crushing it when it comes to creating positive impact in our world. We take a look behind the scenes at what it takes to win in today's world so that you can apply these pieces now. Enough chatter, let's just jump into today's episode. Welcome to Flip the Switch. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Flip the Switch, Mindset Mastery for Entrepreneurs. I am so delighted today to have a spotlighted guest, Brittany Budd. She is a mindset and business coach for female entrepreneurs. She is helping them to build and scale their online businesses to 6 figures and beyond. And she does this using organic strategies in marketing with media. Social media specifically, right? And so tell us, I'm so excited to introduce you, Brittany, because you are literally, if you guys, I'm sure everyone on here is familiar with the song like That Girl Is on Fire. This lady, I'm feeling some heat. So excuse my singing, you guys. We should probably edit that out. Anyways.
Oh, I love it. Keep it.
Welcome, Brittany Budd. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. Super fun.
So this is going to be super fun. I'm excited to share your story because literally I feel like even since I've known you, I don't know, at least 6 months, maybe longer.
A good 6 months, maybe a little longer.
Maybe almost a year. Things are like transforming before my eyes, even inside of this space. And so the most recent thing that I noticed was like the heat you bring in your Facebook group when people don't follow the rules. I seriously love it. I freaking love it. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why people love being in your group, because they're like, yeah, she's not going to put up with any crap. So they love it too. But you know what, guys, we will share the links and stuff at the end, but let's jump into this podcast. So, Brittany, tell us a little bit about how you became the influencer that is helping other people reach 6-figure and beyond in their businesses. So kind of give us a little bit of background on like, what was your story? How did this happen for you first? And then how did that transition into you now helping others to do that?
My goodness, this is such a really good question. You're really putting me on the spot to start.
We like to just get right to the good stuff in here and then go deeper.
Yeah, oh my soul, no warm up or anything. Diving right in. Okay, so, I mean, I don't think anyone really sets out to say, you know what, I'm just going to be an influencer. I mean, yes, we do have the power. You know, the average person will influence 10,000 people in their lives. And I think that most of us are called to influence more than that. But my goal, like, you know, starting out, it was never like, yay, I'm going to be an influencer. It was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. So, I mean, my influencer platform really has blown up. It's coming on a year that I started my group. And that's where I would say I would have like the biggest platform is my Facebook group. And I started it last October. Honestly, I sat on it for 2 weeks. It was private. I didn't tell one single person that it even existed. I was too terrified to put it out into the world. Never invited a person, didn't put any content in it. I just created it and then had like a panic attack for 2 weeks. Because I was, we have these thoughts, right? Of you don't know what you're doing. What are you even going to say in here? Who gives a crap what you have to say? No one's going to listen. No one's going to want to join. You don't know what you're doing. So let's just maybe pretend this never happened. And so, it was born out of necessity. I had been in like a community, like a family, an online family for like a year and a half. And last October, I decided to make the choice to like spread my wings and like fly from the nest and see what would happen. And so that group was really born out of necessity because I knew I needed to create my own community and my own culture where people were looking at me for answers and looking at me as an expert. And so, yeah, I made the group. And after that 2 weeks of panicking, I just put it out on my personal profile. Friends, I made a group. If anybody wants to jump in and hang out with me, and I don't know what I'm doing yet. But now we're creeping up on 4,000 people and it's super engaged. And when you push yourself into these strange situations where you don't really know what you're doing and you push yourself outside your comfort zone, you're given the opportunity to have a panic attack and say, let's pretend this never happened. Or, okay, I really have to show up now because now I have an opportunity to really do something. And so I had those 2 weeks of, let's pretend that I didn't do this. I'm not telling anybody. And then I went out and said, okay, here. Who wants to come in here? It's going to be real. It's going to be raw. It's going to have spicy language, but it's going to set you up for success. And so it's really just kind of grown into this big, actually, I was just invited 2 days ago to be featured in a magazine of top 5 groups of female entrepreneurs should join. I was like, this is super exciting. I have no idea if or when anything will ever come from it, but I was just like, yes, like I really created a platform here. And so I didn't set out to be an influencer, but it happened to me.
I love this. I think that one of the reasons that like you became one is because that wasn't the end goal, right? Because if that was the end goal, then it would be like all about me. I want to be the influencer. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then we end up like putting up the mirrors and only see ourselves, and then we can't serve authentically. We can't really be there for people. Whereas like when you were just like, hey, you know what? This is going to be raw. This is going to be real. This is what I'm doing. Come and join me. And we're going to have some fun and we'll figure it out together. I feel like so many more people can connect with that, right? Like, yeah. Because honestly, I mean, I talk about and I look at some of the things that I've done and I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, like I've coached a rocket scientist. There's not many people that have done that. So who can connect with that? But at the same time, I can be like, yeah, I did that, but who gives a crap? Because what you want to know is, can I help you? And guess what? Even though I did that, I'm also just the mom next door who bakes muffins for her kids' lunches. And you know what I mean? Like, totally. So, it's one of those things where people want to see like the other side of us. That's just like, yeah, this is a real person. Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
So, okay. So you built this group and people were flocking and they're loving it. And it's super fun inside this group. And tell me about, I'm assuming, okay, so basically from that group is where you were able to then create the income that you created in hitting the milestones that you've hit, right? Is from your group.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit then about what role did mindset play inside of that transition in the last year? Because we're coming up on October, right? So it's been a year. Yeah. So tell me and our listeners, what was the mindset shifts that you had to have along the way? I love that you already like started out with a main one where you were just like, okay, I decided to do this thing. And then I panicked for 2 weeks. And then I was like, okay, I have a decision to make and I'm going to do it anyways. Let's go. Right. Okay, so honestly, for me, I'm going to say that the first part of that was probably the fact that you are okay with being a beginner. And that's what allowed you
Oh,
to move forward.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with being a beginner. You have to be okay with failing. Honestly, every time I fail in my business, I have my emotions about it and things like that. But I tell myself every time you fail, it makes you a better coach. Because, you know, I say I didn't set out to be an influencer, but now, like, when I think of my goals, like, global domination is what I'm looking for. Like, I want everyone to know who I am. I love it, right? It's fun. And so I think if I'm going to impact tens of thousands of women, I want to have failed all across the board so that when they're coming to me saying, I'm failing at X, I can say, oh, yeah, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not by yourself in this. I totally failed in that too. And here's what I learned from it. And here's where I move forward with it, like from that experience. Every time I fail, it makes me a better coach because I can then, relate to someone who's going through something and give them real life examples of where I sucked and how I got to where I am today.
Okay,
I love failing.
I love this. I just had this conversation with one of my clients the other day. So I was talking to this client, his daughter had just had a baby. And we were talking about scars and talking about influencers and all of these different things. And I said to him, so tell me, and I mean, generally I coach with women, but in this case I was coaching with a man. So I said, so tell me, if your daughter just she was about to go into labor, would she rather go to her sister who had a baby 2 months ago and get advice on what to do and how to deal with all of the pain of everything that was coming, or would she rather talk to her mom who had done it 20 years ago? Right? And I was like, we need to slow down for a moment and recognize that listening to some of the gurus and some of the experiencers that are so far ahead of us, so far out there, that things have shifted so much and changed so much, their scars are like so flat and so they're not as raw.
Nice and white.
Yeah, right. They got the shiny shimmer to them. They're not like the purple, ugly, like I just went through this pain piece.
Right.
And so we were talking about how, it's a blessing and it's an amazing opportunity to actually connect with other people who are a year or two ahead of you. So because they're still growing and they're still authentically open about the crap that they have to deal with in their brain. Because guess what? The more wounds that person has carried, the more scars that person has, the more experience they have, the more they can help you through that thing. So I love that you brought that up because it's so similar with the same touch there is that, we want to be able to find that person, right? That has those scars. Now, one of the things though is we want to look for the person who has the scars but isn't still wounded from the scar.
Totally.
That's something you want to keep a track of is don't be like, oh yeah, I want to find somebody and then find someone who's still struggling with that piece and like falling apart.
I call it suck soup. When you end up with like other people that are kind of like in the same like sucky situation as you and you just like sit around and stew together. I call it the suck soup. You don't want to get into that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because then you're just going to get stuck and go in loops and go like in circles and you're not going anywhere. So I love that. Okay. So share with us a little bit about the mindset pieces that were in that journey over the last 9 months. And then I want to hear a little bit about how that translates with your people coming into your world and moving out of your world, like how all of that stuff blends.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm not afraid to fail at things. I also believe, and I teach this to my clients, I teach this in my group all the time. I believe that the best thing that I can do for the people in my group is to offer them a spot to work with me. Like, it's great that they're here and they're getting all my free resources and absorbing my content and coming to my free coaching and listening to my lives. But the best thing that they can do for their businesses is to work with me. And so I'm very open in the fact that if you want to make money in your business, you have to make offers every single day. You have to give value every single day. Otherwise, people, how are they going to know that they can work with you if you don't invite them to work with you? And so these mindsets of, not being afraid to fail, and if I don't make offers, I'm not doing anybody any favors, have been huge ones that have carried me from where I was to where I am today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I love the fact too that you said an invite, right? Like you're not pushing things on people. You're giving lots of free value and you're meeting people where they're at, and then you're inviting them to do more, because we all know that as coaches that the more that somebody invests in themselves, the more they put into something, the more they'll get out of it. And so if they want to show up and just consume free content and pull on those pieces, that's awesome. It'll start them out. But if they want to fast track, if they want to grow, if they want to really push themselves to achieve something, they're going to have to invest in themselves further, get some skin in the game, right? Put in the energy, put in the emotional connection as well into what you are becoming. And so I love that you talked about creating that as an invitation and then putting it on them, because I mean, that's what we do as coaches, is we can't grow someone's business for them, right?
No.
I mean, they need to have the wherewithal and the mental capacity to be able to have the sustainability. It would be doing them no favors to come in and do it for them.
Absolutely.
It would just fall apart as soon as that person left.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I also try to come from, I say it's real and raw. I come from a place of authenticity all the time. I'm not doing anybody again any favors by putting myself on this pedestal up here and making it seem like nothing ever happens in my life that goes wrong. Everything's just perfect. I've got money coming out of my ears. My kids never cry. My husband and I never fight. Like, that's not realistic, and that's not real business. And so another, part of my mindset is I'm going to be real in here. People can take it or leave it. And, I've shared different aspects of my story, things that I've done for money, the loss of my daughter. And sometimes I get an influx of people and sometimes I get an outflux of people. And that's fine. Another mindset thing is, you got to be fine with people coming and going and not getting caught up in the vanity metrics of, oh, well, I lost 10 people today. Like, okay, if you don't want to be here, that's fine. There's still thousands of other people who do want to be here and connect with these types of stories. So that vulnerability is so, so important, especially for someone who's trying to influence other people and help them. I mean, you can influence someone if you're not talking to their experiences too and sharing your journey. So like just being really open all the time as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what that's doing is it's just really building trust, right? If you're in a place, if you're in a community where there is safety and belonging, like two core needs, pretty much everything that we do as human beings is around safety and belonging, right?
Yeah.
And so pretty much all fears are derived from that, right?
You're absolutely right.
Your belonging. And so when we can create an environment and a community and coaching relationships where there's safety and belonging, that is built off of the ability to be vulnerable and still feel safe, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up, is that vulnerability and that authenticity is a major part of creating that powerful group and that connection. Because, and like you said too, is not having, not doing the ego dance where you fall apart when somebody leaves, because honestly, that's the best thing that could happen for you. You want the right people in that space, right? Because you want to keep that safety and belonging. If somebody's not vibing, they're not jiving with what's happening, then this them and send them on their way. Like this is supposed to
absolutely
be where there's this connection. So I love that. Awesome. Okay. So what's the greatest challenge that you've uncovered that is the key difference between those who make consistent six figures and those who struggle?
Ooh, I think the number one thing that I see is that when people kind of start getting close, they then panic and then they sabotage. Like hitting that first six figures is probably the hardest six figures that you're going to hit, but then maintaining it, oh my goodness. We have this tendency to like, everything's working, everything's good. I actually coached a client on this earlier today. She was like maxed out on her clients, like her capability for clients for availability. And then she just started like self-sabotaging. And now she's like, I'm not full anymore. Like I have a couple of clients. Now I can't book clients. I'm struggling. And I was like, you had a system that was working. And all of a sudden you decided, well, I need to reinvent the wheel. And a lot of entrepreneurs do this. You know, we start getting really close to 10K months, or we're hitting 10K months. And then all of a sudden we go, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll like go over on Instagram, or maybe I'll start doing TikToks, or maybe I'll like stop doing Facebook Lives and I'm going to like start emailing people. Maybe I'm going to change my offer. And they just get in their own heads. They look at what someone else is doing who's hitting multiple six figures and completely shift their game and self-sabotage. That's like the biggest thing I see people do. If you have a strategy that's working and you're very close to six figures, now is not the time to change the game plan and try to do something completely new. Stick with what's working and then work on scaling to that multiple six.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like the biggest thing I see.
I love that you brought this up. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Self-sabotage is like something I can geek out on all day. I love it. I mean, I don't love it, but I love it. I love understanding why people do what they do and getting in their head and being like, okay, this is the loop you're running. This is why this is happening. And honestly, if you are running into self-sabotage, you honestly, like 100%, I guarantee you have two opposing beliefs. You have one that believes that you are enough and that you can make the six figures and you can do all of this stuff. And you have another one that believes that if that happens, something is going to shift in your life that is going to change your safety and belonging on some level. And so as you get close to it, that subconscious freaks out, sends out red flags, and your security system kicks into overdrive and starts sabotaging things to cut that out, because it's like, holy freak, if this happens, this will happen. We can't let that happen, and starts pulling everything down.
Yes, that's exactly right. I love that. You're so right. That's perfect.
So, let me ask you, when we're looking at self-sabotage and we are this is a funny thing, you guys. I think most of our listeners are women. If you're not, you can put your fingers in yours. But seriously, women, I have come to the conclusion that we should not make any major business decisions when we're in hell week of the month. Okay? If you are going,
I love that you're talking about this. This is true.
Menstrual cycle, do not make major decisions in that week of the month or the week prior, depending on whichever one throws you for a loop, because I can guarantee that is linked directly to your self-sabotage.
You're right. I've seen it. I actually talked about this with one of my clients a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, I'm on my period and everything's crazy. And I was like, okay, like, let's just pump the brakes then. Like, let's not make any decisions. Let's not talk about anything like super like life-changing right now, because this is just not the time.
Right? Like, honestly, ladies, if you struggle with feeling like you're reinventing every single month, start to take a peek and see when is that happening, and take a pause button and say, okay, this week of the month, and literally put it on your calendar, because I am like all about boundaries, because boundaries actually create freedom, right? If you think about like being able to, like, everyone's living in the desert and there's an oasis over here of water, the only way to get that water to these people is to scoop it in a cup. It has to have boundaries. It has to have something in order to carry it there, right? And so it actually creates the freedom. It creates life. It creates all of these things for us. And that's what all of our systems are, right? They're all boundaries, like the rules that we follow. So if you're struggling with this, girls and ladies, and just take a moment to like start looking for loops, because our brain absolutely thrives on loops. And not only that, but it's like super lazy. So it'll use the same loop in as many places as possible. So I don't know, Brittany, okay, so you have done a lot of money mindset work. And an interesting fact, I don't know if you've ever noticed this before, but have you ever noticed that a lot of people that have money mindset loops, they spend their money the same way that they do relationships, or they like that mirroring? I don't know. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, like you said, our brain is lazy. It's gonna do the same patterns everywhere it can find to.
Well, I mean, I shouldn't probably use the word lazy, but it's very efficient, right? It wants to
Yeah.
conserve energy as much as possible, and so it'll find those loops. So, I mean, this is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because we're like, oh crap, it's going through loops. But the good thing is we can usually hit two birds with one stone.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. So, as we were talking about this self-sabotaging, right, is whichever area you ladies are finding this self-sabotaging happening, one of those is going to be a core and one of those is going to be your secondary mirroring one. So, if you're not recognizing it in the one space, take a look and see where it might be looping in from another.
I love that. Great advice.
Okay. So, what do you tell your clients? What is maybe like the tip that you usually give when they self-sabotage?
Ooh. So I mean, it's different for everybody, and it kind of depends on what they're sabotaging. I try to help them figure out why this is happening before we can tackle it. Because for some, it's things that's happening in their lives. Maybe their husband said something to them, and now they're kind of like, uh-oh, now I need to start over. Or a friend, or maybe they're being influenced by someone. But other times, maybe it's because they're getting close to success and it's making them freak out and all these different things. So I like to get to the root of like what's causing it and then come up with like a game plan to tackle it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah, that's definitely the strategy that I would go with as well, is figuring out what's the root of the belief, right? Because if you're getting all this talk happening, the only talk that will be in your head is supported by a belief you have. So find out what the belief is and kind of work backwards from there. I love it. Okay. So here's another hot one. What do you think people don't get or understand about being a successful entrepreneur? So what do you think is the one thing that they trip up on that they think maybe is like a no-brainer, or they think should be easy, but it's like, no, it's actually a hard thing or something like that? Like, what is it do you think that they trip over?
I think that, I'm a mom, you're a mom. A lot of women are, a lot of female entrepreneurs are moms. I think a lot of people trip up on the concept that you can make six figures in very few hours. And they think, if I want to have a big business, it's going to take me hours and hours and hours out of my day. I have to sacrifice all this time with kids. I'm going to be up all hours of the night. It's just never going to end. And that's just like false. If you have the right strategies, I mean, honestly, people get these laundry lists of activities that they think they need to do in the run of a day if they want to have a successful business. And the more activities that people have, the less money they're making. You can have a successful business, a six-figure business, in like an hour, 2 hours a day. That's all I work, 1 to 2 hours a day. I work on my business. And I really believe that you can grow in the pockets of time that we have, the mom time, nap time, bedtime, listening to podcasts during cooking dinner and things like that. It doesn't have to take 1 million hours. It doesn't have to take all of your brain power. Like 1 to 3 activities is all you need to do a day.
I love it.
If you have any more than 3, it's too many.
I love this. And I love that you called it the laundry list, because so many, right? Like so many women really do get caught up on that belief that in order to be successful in business, I have to do this and 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 this, right? And so I totally love that you brought this up and that you're touching on this topic, because it comes down to understanding just those curated pieces that when we can show up intentionally and do those powerfully, that we don't have to do everything else. It's kind of like, my listeners have heard this in another podcast, but we talk about where your focus goes, your energy flows. And if you are trying to do 1 million different things, that river is no longer charting its own course, because it has so many offshoots that it's becoming this weak little stream that is now going to be pushed all over the place. And you lose your power, right? To create anything. And now you're just
I love that analogy.
little tiny stream that's just trickling along, and literally it's, you know, watering a shrub here and there instead of being a force for good that is literally carving its own path. And guess what happens to those ones? It draws animals to it, it draws plants to it, it draws life to it, it brings life, right? And so just that whole concept that you're talking about of being able to do this. Sorry, I'm like, I love analogies, and so I kind of throw them into everything.
I love it. I like analogies too. I know that's a good one.
I feel like it helps us remember, right? And it helps, like, it gives that visualization of what's happening. And so when you're feeling, ladies, like your laundry list is too big, you're feeling like you're in this place of overwhelm, or I have too much to do. Number one, take a look at what Brittany just said. She just said, I think I have to do this. That means it's a belief. So let's redefine what success means, right? Is being a successful mom and entrepreneur spending 18 hours in your office and ignoring your kids? I don't think so. None of us are in it for that, right? So
that's not why we sign up.
Yeah, like, let's look at what we're thinking about and redefine success on our terms. And number two, think about where your energy is going, and start chopping off those, damming up the sides, and get your flow moving forward. Okay, cool. Let me look at my list. Okay, so where would you suggest our listeners start if they're wanting to take the first steps in mindset or habits that will require them to achieve their goals? So in your space, you're all about organic social media marketing in that space, because that's your expertise. Tell us a little bit, what are the first steps that you would suggest somebody take in able to, number one, get started there, and number two, do it smart, like working smarter, not harder, that type of a thing, because we were just talking about overwhelm.
I mean, my best tip for like getting in a better mindset is like start your day on the right foot.
Love it.
Like, we open up our phones, the alarm's going off, kids suddenly need lunch, and oh, I can't find my sock, who has my book bag? Like, right, you're just like beside yourself. And so you can quickly go into, okay, this day sucks, I haven't even got out of bed yet, and I'm already ready for tomorrow. So starting yourself off on the right foot of having like positive thoughts, doing some journaling, checking in. What am I thinking today? How am I feeling today? How am I feeling about my business today? How committed am I to my business today? And then what shifts do I need to make in my thinking to be more positive? But when it comes to like starting the online space, do what I did. Just start. Start scared, start unsure, just start. Like I say, I started that group. I sat on it for 2 weeks. Maybe don't sit for 2 weeks. I mean, that was just 2 weeks wasted for me. But if you just put yourself out there and say, hey, look, I'm creating this space, or, you know, I got my first coaching clients going to my personal Facebook page and going, hi, everybody. I was on a Facebook Live. I'm going to be a coach now. Wants to like be one of my clients, send me a DM. I literally did that. And I had like 8 people reach out to me.
Gutsy, I love it. So
I didn't know what kind of coach I wanted to be. I didn't know anything. I was just like, I'm just going to coach.
If you don't know, you should know that we're Canadian girls.
Yes.
Right? And us Canadian girls, we're a little, we're just a little sharp. We're just, we can got that solid foundation, and we just go and do that stuff. We're just gutsy that way. I love it. Okay. So,
yes.
And I have to apologize, you guys. We are getting a little bit of lagginess with video audio, but we are still getting, all the conversation is still coming through. So we're going to keep going. I love that you said that too. Like, just start. And one thing that I would suggest as well is find somebody to follow that can be an example for you. Right?
Yes. I made a post about this in my group earlier.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're following people that you wouldn't trade lives with, stop following them. Like, only follow people that you're like, man, when I see her, I want to be like her when I grow up. Those are the people that you need to be following, the people that you want to be like when you grow up.
Yeah.
Do we ever grow up? I don't know.
And you guys too, like, I don't know how many times people, there's this whole thing, everyone's like, oh, I have shiny object syndrome. Oh, I can't focus. I can't focus. I can't focus. Well, guess what? You got too many voices going on in your head if you can't focus. So
Yep.
go through your Facebook groups, go through these different things, pick the ones that are in alignment with each other. And you're like, yes, I like what this person says. Yes, I align with these things in my core values or my principles or whatever, like the different pieces, pick those pieces. Like Brittany's saying, do I want to be in this same spot? Because guess what? If you're following their footsteps, where do you think you're going to go? Right? So, pick the person that you want to follow and then make sure that the people you're following are in alignment with each other. Because if you've got opposing ideas, if, like you said, Brittany too, is these people that are reaching almost 6 figures and they self-sabotage, what happens? They get shiny object and they're like, oh, well, maybe I should do it this person's way. Maybe I should do that way. No, shut up. Put on turn it off, right?
Oh.
Turn off all of the noise. Pick, maybe your top 3 people or whatever, if you only need one in that moment, then just do one, but pick who it is that you want to follow and create a filter, create a rule guide for yourself of, this is my goal. This is where I want to go. And as soon as shiny object shows up and it's like, oh my gosh, I made this much money overnight, blah, 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 then you can say, okay, that's awesome. I love that you did that. Congratulations. Does that fit into my goals, my plan? No. Okay. Thank you. And God bless. Next.
Exactly.
Right? Like, why don't we create a filter? We put filters on our kids' screen time. We put filters on all these things and we forget to do that for ourselves. So let's create a little bit of, help for ourselves. Help yourself, people. Help yourself. Please help yourself.
I also want to point out too, if you're following someone and you're like, oh, I really like this person, she's real, she's raw, she's authentic, but honestly, every time she posts about her success, I'm triggered. Don't follow those people. Don't follow people that trigger you and make you mad. Only follow the people that, they're like, yeah, I made 40K this month and you're inspired by it. Like, yes, that makes me feel like I'm going to hit 40K when I'm where she is. Those are the people to follow. But the people that are like, I made 40K and you're just like, son of a beef. Like, I'm pissed. Why her, not me? Like, don't follow those people. Unfollow. You don't have to unfriend them. Unfollow them.
I was just having this conversation with my husband yesterday. Oh my gosh. It's so true though. Like, there are people that I follow and when they go on about their success stuff, I want to punch the screen and I'm just like, shut your face right now. And then there's other people that when they say it, I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, you are amazing. You're my hero. I'm so following you. Right. And yeah, it comes down to being able to resonate with that person. You need to be able to click with that person. If you're not clicking, then don't be there. It's not a good relationship. Right. In fact,
exactly.
It's like the other relationship, the one where you feel triggered and stuff like that, that's like an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Because honestly, like, you can't afford to run the emotional roller coaster while you're trying to build a business.
Yeah.
It takes guts.
You're totally right.
It takes work to run a business. You need to put yourself in a place where you are with people that lift you up and are there to support you and are there to stretch you and call you out on your crap when you need it. But they also do not put themselves on a pedestal, because
right.
You can't follow somebody who's 50 miles ahead of you up in the air saying, hey, look at me. At least I don't want to follow.
Right. No, you're right. I love that.
That's just me. Okay. Brittany, I am going, when we get off this call, I'm going to send you, I made a little quiz because I'm like, you know what? I'm so tired of like filtering through fakeness. And I was just like, I'm creating a filter. I'm creating a filter for fakeness. And I want to know who are my real like soul sisters, who really connects with me. I'm going to send you it and be like, are we soul sisters? I feel like we're soul sisters.
I think we are.
I am curious what your score will be.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun. Okay. Oh my gosh, I totally just got distracted from what I was working on. You guys, see, this is what, when you're with a soul sister, this is what happens. You could just talk forever and you completely forget.
True.
I promise we're going to wrap this up. You guys don't have to stay here forever. Okay. Last bit of piece of advice. Okay, tell us like 3 habits that you do. So number 1, you said a morning routine, start your day off awesome, right?
Yeah.
What are other habits that you feel are really important? And you can even pull them out of what we've already talked about. Maybe it's, you know, like not having the massive to-do list or whatever it is. But what are 3 things that we want to leave our people with today to say, start here, you guys. You can do this today. You don't have to purchase anything to get this. You can literally do this on your own in this moment. Take a deep breath. Feel it, feel it, feel it. Breathe it out. Okay, now let's go.
Okay, so my other 2 tips, 1 is giving value every day, like writing content that resonates with people and really truly helps people that they can take and implement. My best tip for doing that is taking screenshots of stuff that like inspires you throughout your day. Like when you're scrolling on social media for the fun of it, I have a whole album in my phone dedicated to inspiration. And so anytime someone's written a piece of copy that I'm like, ooh, that would be a good like topic to talk about, I take a screenshot of it so I remember it. And so whenever I'm feeling like, I don't know what to talk about today, I go over there and I sift through and see if there's like quotes that spoke to me, you know, conversation pieces, content pieces, graphics, just a graphic would maybe be like, ooh, I would write a piece about that. So like I say, writing content every day, giving value, making offers every day. Those are my 2 tips. Give value, make offers. That's all you have to do.
Okay, so this is awesome. So number 1, start your day out right. Number 2, give value every single day. And I love the hack tip that you just gave for content hacking. Now, notice that Brittany did not say copy somebody else's and post it on your page. She said she is inspired by it and then writes her own thing. Okay, it's totally different. We're talking about people building trust people. And if you are stealing other people's crap, it's probably not crap. But if you are stealing other people's good content, you are losing trust with your own people. No one will follow you. And that's all I have to say about that. Don't do it.
No, that's so right. Never, never, never copy and paste someone else's stuff. But if someone's writing about, you know, content creation, oh, that's going to trigger me to write my own piece about how I create content, which I just told you guys how I create content. Like I'm constantly inspired. Like I'm always looking for things inspired by podcasts, books I'm reading, shows. My husband watches YouTube videos and he was watching one of this guy about the 4-minute mile. So I was like, that's really cool. I'm going to write a piece about that. Like always be inspired.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay. And then the last one, the third one was give an offer or an invite, like a call to action every single day, right? So this is my question though, because I know someone's going to ask it. So I'm going to ask it for them because I know they're listening being like, but Brittany. So I'm going to do it for you. You know what, you guys? I love you and I feel your pain and I feel your questions. So I'm going to ask it. So Brittany, when they have the question of, that's awesome, I would love to be able to give an offer every single day. Are you suggesting that they need multiple offers and then they trickle through them? Are you suggesting that it's like if you have one program, you just share that same thing every single day and you just remind people, hey, this is what I do. This is what I do. There's an open spot. Your seat should be in it. Blah, blah.
Yes.
Like that type of thing. Like what do you mean by that? What does that look like? Because I know that some people are going to be like, okay, let's rewind. What was it that she said about that? So what does that look like when somebody is offering every day?
Okay, so I believe that you should just have like one offer. If you have multiple offers, especially if you're offering every day and every day you've got something new, everyone that's following you is confused. Like, what is this girl doing? Why does she have so many things on the go? Are none of them successful? Why does she have so many pots and so many fires? Why is she such a stream that's all spread out into 1,000 different directions? I make one offer every day. I offer one-on-one with me. Hey, book a free call with me. Let's talk about your business and see how I can help you. That is my offer every day. Unless I'm putting on like a master class. I do a lot of free master classes just, again, to give value to my audience. Sometimes I'll be like, hey guys, I'm putting on a free masterclass. Join me here. And I'll do that for a couple of days in a row leading up to it. And then I go back to, hey, book a call with me. But like, don't be confusing. It's even confusing for yourself, and you'll feel really out of alignment if you have a ton of different offers, a ton of different price points, a ton of different things that you're trying to do and create. Again, keep it super simple, guys. 1 to 3 actions a day will grow you a successful business. If you're trying to create all these different things, create programs and challenges and PDFs and webinars and everything else under the sun, you're confused, your audience is confused.
I love it.
Keep it super simple.
I love it. I was just going to say, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's how your audience is going to feel.
Yep.
Right? If you feel like you're all over the place, that's the message they're going to receive. She's all over the place. Like I'm not interested in hiring a hot mess.
Right.
Right?
You're so right.
Like, I'm going to say that most of us love the idea of less is more. Let's streamline, let's move. That whole idea of slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Slow down, pick those 3 things you're going to do every day. Some people do it in a power hour. People do it differently, however you want to do it. But pick something that works for you. Create some rules around it to protect it. It's your little baby, right? You're building something. You're birthing a business here.
Totally.
Let's just give it some love and allow it to have space to grow. So I love it. Okay. We are at the end of our chit chat fun spotlight. So Brittany, tell our audience, where can they find you? Where do they come to find Brittany Budd and her fiery group?
Ooh, okay. Yes, definitely come and hang out with me in my group. My group is called Babe to Boss. And if you go to facebook.com/groups/babe to boss, all one word, you will find it.
Awesome. And
I'd love to have you.
Oh, sorry. I totally cut you off. What was that?
No, that's okay. I just said it's fun in there.
Of course that is. Okay. So I will link you guys that Facebook group into the description as well. And so you guys will be able to have easy access to it there. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Brittany, for joining us. You guys, listeners, thank you so much for joining us. I think that we learned some really fun things. We had some great topic discussion, and this was just overall a really fun episode. So thanks so much for joining us here, you guys, and we will see you all again soon. And so that's it for today's episode. Thank you, Brittany, again for joining us. And you guys, we will see you again, same time, same place next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining us here on Flip the Switch, Mindset Mastery for Entrepreneurs. We've had so much fun in this podcast as always, and I want to remind you guys to go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and I would love to connect with you. So if you have a question that you want answered, jump in, leave us a review, then DM me a snapshot of that review with your question. Then just keep listening to hear your question answered. See you next week.